Hey everyone and welcome. We are jumping right into this exciting storybook explainer today, setting the stage for a really wonderful, super cinematic tale. It's all about the magic of imagination, the struggle of trying to fit in, and the beautiful journey of finally finding a place to call home. We're going to be exploring the story of a very special girl named Nimmy, and trust me on this one, you are absolutely going to want to power up your imagination before we begin.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. What do you think happens when a wildly imaginative daydreamer meets a super strict, totally no-nonsense grown-up? Just imagine those two completely different worlds colliding. It is a massive clash of personalities, and that is exactly the amazing situation we're about to explore today. Let's see how this whole thing unfolds.
Okay, let's picture the scene. There's Nimmy. She's been kept busy all morning doing different chores at a place called Green Gables, and right now she is washing the dinner dishes. But take a close look at her face. She is incredibly anxious. She's literally terrified that the strict grown-up watching her, a woman named Sarah, is going to send her away. She is just desperately determined to learn the absolute worst about her future.
Her thin little body is trembling from head to foot. Her face is all flushed, and her eyes are so wide they look almost black. She's clasping her hands tightly together, and after being so patient all morning, she just cannot take the waiting anymore. She bursts out, speaking so fast she can barely catch her breath. "Oh, please, Miss Smith, won't you tell me if you are going to send me away or not? I've tried to be patient all the morning, but I really feel that I cannot bear not knowing any longer."
It's an awful feeling, right? Just begging to know. So, what do you think? Will she get to stay at Green Gables, or is she going to be packed up and sent away? Let's take a dramatic pause right here, leaning close, because Sarah has been keeping a secret decision all morning long. Look at this incredible shift from pure fear to absolute joy. Sarah, unable to delay it any longer, finally breaks the news. She tells Nimmy that she and a man named Andrew have actually decided to keep her. She says they'll try to do right by her, as long as she tries to be a good little girl. Can you even imagine the massive wave of relief washing over Nimmy right now?
Nimmy is just completely overwhelmed. In fact, she's crying and laughing at the exact same time. Sarah tells her she gets worked up way too easily, but Nimmy answers in this bewildered, dizzy, totally joyful voice, "I can't think why. I'm glad as glad can be." Oh, glad doesn't seem the right word at all. I was glad about the white way and the cherry blossoms, but this, oh, it's something more than glad. I'm so happy. She is literally so happy that the happy tears are just pouring out of her.
And you know, this perfectly illustrates the difference between these two characters. Nimmy has this deep, aching desire to belong. She asks if she can call her new guardian Aunt Sarah, because she's never had an aunt or a grandmother, and well, it would make her feel like she really belongs. But Sarah? She is strictly literal. She tells Nimmy to call her just plain Sarah. She absolutely refuses to be called an aunt because she doesn't believe in calling people names that don't belong to them.
Which brings us to the core conflict of our entire story. Nimmy asks, wide-eyed, "Do you never imagine things different from what they really are?" And Sarah firmly, flatly answers, "No." You see, Sarah believes that when life puts us in certain circumstances, we aren't meant to just imagine them away. So Nimmy's colorful, vibrant imagination is running smack into a brick wall with Sarah's grim refusal to pretend.
Imagine zooming way in on Nimmy right now. Sarah tells her to go to the sitting room to fetch an illustrated card. And what does Nimmy do? She completely ignores the instructions. 10 minutes go by, and Sarah marches in to find Nimmy standing totally motionless in front of a picture hanging on the wall. She is entirely lost in a daydream. Her eyes are described as being a star with dreams.
Well, Sarah is not happy about all this mooning and imagining, so she gives Nimmy a task. She brings out a card with the Lord's Prayer on it and tells Nimmy she has to devote her spare time that afternoon to learning it by heart. Nimmy sets the prayer card right up against a beautiful jug of apple blossoms she brought in, ready to study. But of course, Nimmy's mind starts to wander again.
Instead of studying, she turns to Sarah and asks if she thinks she'll ever have a bosom friend in Avonlea. Now that is a super old-fashioned term. Nimmy defines a bosom friend as an intimate friend, a really kindred spirit to confide her inmost soul to. It is her absolute ultimate dream to finally find a real human best friend.
Surprisingly, Sarah actually has someone in mind. She tells Nimmy about a girl named Aria Johnson. She's about Nimmy's age. She has beautiful black eyes and hair, rosy cheeks, and she is very good and smart. But you know what the funniest part is? Nimmy is just incredibly relieved that Arya doesn't have red hair like her. She thinks it's bad enough to have red hair herself, and she literally couldn't endure it in a best friend.
Let's shift the scene over to tea time. They sit down at the table, and this is where Nimmy just completely spills the beans. She starts telling Sarah all about what she used to do back at the asylum, the lonely orphanage where she lived, when she didn't have any real actual friends to talk to.
Quick question for you. Have you ever had an imaginary friend? Because Nimmy created entire enchanted worlds. She tells Sarah about Katie Maurice, a little girl she pretended lived inside the glass reflection of a bookcase. Nimmy would talk to her for hours, and when she moved, she found a valley with a wonderful echo, and she named that echo Violetta. She loved them both so much. She created all this magic just to escape her sad life when she didn't have any real companions.
Now imagine dropping into a deadpan, super strict voice for Sarah. Sarah listens to all this magic and dryly says, "I don't approve of such goings-on. You seem to half believe your own imaginations." She tells Nimmy it'll be well for her to have a real live friend so she can put such nonsense out of her head, and she strongly warns her not to let others hear her talking about Echo Girls and Bookcase Girls.
But Nimmy just can't turn off her imagination. The energy bubbles right back up. She looks at the apple blossoms on the table and points out that a big bee just tumbled out of one. She tells Sarah that temptation is simply irresistible to kiss the flowers, and she dreams aloud that if she wasn't a human girl, she'd love to just be a bee and live inside an apple blossom.
At this point, Sarah has had enough of the talking and banishes Nimmy to her room in the east gable to finish learning her prayer. But even up in her room, Nimmy's imagination absolutely soars. Picture this grand, sweeping moment. She goes to her open window and joyfully blows kisses out to nature. She says a magical good afternoon to the Snow Queen, the birches down in the hollow, and the gray house on the hill. She floats away on what the story calls a sea of daydreams, even blowing kisses to her old imaginary friends so they wouldn't feel hurt.
Okay, let's slow our pacing way down here, because this brings us to the most important emotional takeaway of our entire explainer journey today. It all comes back to Nimmy's simple, powerful thought. I'm so happy.
What you really should take away from this is how a 19th century story connects directly to us right now. Behind all of Nimmy's wild, energetic talking, behind her imaginary friends in the glass and the echoes, and behind all her wonderful daydreams, all she ever really wanted was to feel safe. She just wanted to feel loved and wanted. And when she finally finds out she gets to stay, that deep human need is finally met.
So as we wrap up this magical storybook explainer, I want to leave you with a really provocative thought. Think about Nimmy and her incredible mind. If you had to use your own imagination to turn a plain, boring room into a spectacular enchanted kingdom, what is the very first thing you would create? Keep dreaming, keep imagining, and I'll see you all next time.